be a 4-tire stop for Elliott Sadler.
Also on pit road, Clements, Berryhill, Yaley, Dakota Armstrong, Chase Pistone, and Kenny Wallace. So our first caution of the day for debris here at the Iowa Speedway. 27 laps are complete, 28 now here in Iowa. Back at Iowa Speedway, where the top 20 competitors stayed out under our first caution. The first car to pit was Elliott Sadler from 9th. A few followed behind him. The free pass went to Joey Gase. Pace car is off, and we're ready to resume here at Iowa.
Brad Keselowski to the lead.
We saw Trevor Bayne taking the outside in the restart, Ricky. You wondered about that. Was that the reason, you think?
Well, you know, it's a gamble. This 30 laps into the race. Let's see what the low lane's like. I bet he puts it in the bank and remembers it. It'll be the low lane next time, rather.
Love the restarts. 2 by 2 all the way back through the field, racing the guys. Lined up with the guys you're racing with. Love that NASCAR changed that rule a few years ago. And now Trevor Bayne trying to work his way back to Brad Keselowski.
Restarts have always been important, but Dave, in this era of racing, I think it's the most critical aspect of a driver's responsibilities. You've got to be really good at restarts because your opportunity is to capture 2, 3, 4 spots, whereas under green flag conditions, that could take 40 or 50 laps.
So Keselowski now to the point for the first time tonight, has led a couple of laps. Trevor Bayne led every lap before our caution. Chase Elliott rides in third right now. Regan Smith, his teammate, is fourth. Ryan Scott is fifth. And then we find in sixth place Sam Hornish Jr. He's been about even with McDowell since the start of this race, Ricky, and Michael hasn't found a way by him, but Sam hasn't moved any further forward either.
Yes, and we haven't seen any adjustments on these lead cars yet. And we have drivers that made pit stops that are bottled up in traffic, but we'll have to wait till that first stop for these guys. Vince, you got something on the 54?
Well, they just haven't really found the balance. Certainly they didn't start off with it here today. A little bit too free in and on exit for Sam Hornish Jr. Adam Stevens assuring him they'll get him fixed up at the stop when they do come for changes, but assuring him also that his lap times are competitive. So despite the fact he's a little too free for Sam's comfort, speed has still been pretty decent.
You know, if you're going to have a balance issue, you want free right now isn't a bad thing. It's certainly better than being tight, because as the track cools, you would expect it to get more grip, more weight towards the front of the car. It's going to tighten up. So pick your poison. I'll take a little loose right now.
All right. Sam Hornish again running in sixth. This is the battle for fourth right now. Regan Smith has it, and Brian Scott trying to work his way by. We saw Scott in the first run being one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. He lost some position on that restart.
He did. And again, you know, once you lose the spots, the tendency is, or urgency is, to get them back real quick. And you can burn the right front tire off the car, just being too aggressive.
Looking at the 11 on the right side of the screen as well, and the 3 of Ty Dillon. The 11 with those 4 fresh tires this time for Elliott Sadler. He restarted 21st and is all the way up to the 10th position now. So fresh rubber, obviously, an asset for that 11 car. That was in just 8 laps he did that, Ricky.
Yeah, I'm watching lap times. It's worth some. It's not as significant as I expected, Dave. But the longer we run, the more those 30 laps will show up on the cars in front of him. The more of a disadvantage it will be, of course.
Ricky passing the 5 car now as he gets by him. And that this weekend, new driver in that car, Josh Berry, his first start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, is the late model driver for Junior Motorsports. Junior has a late model team, and Josh is doing a good job so far.
He is doing an outstanding job. And how new is he to this? The guys told me earlier he's never made a pit stop. How about that? He's never made a pit stop. And you think about all of the things you need to learn to become a successful NASCAR driver. We're going to be watching that pit stop.
He's going to get a chance. Those pit stops will be coming up maybe at the next caution for the leaders. The leader is Brad Keselowski. He won last fall here, going for 2. He now leads Trevor Bayne. The action at the Iowa Speedway, always good with the NASCAR Nationwide Series. This evening, no exception. Trevor Bayne, the early leader, but Brad Keselowski, his match. Keselowski has now led a total of 17 laps after taking the point away from Trevor Bayne. There's Bayne riding in second position. And Chase Elliott, who before the last caution where they decided not to pit, had a little intel for his crew.
I'd actually gotten to where I was a little bit on the free side, in and off. A little still kind of waiting on the nose in the center, but the entrance was still manageable, but the exit was starting to hurry up a little bit. I'm talking like just dead in the center. I mean, it just seems like when the nose is loaded up the most, just need a little bit of front turn.
So there's the info. Ricky, what impresses you about this kid as he starts to look over Bayne for second?
Everything.
Period.
But specifically, great drivers have a greater tolerance than their competition. And when you got another caution up in turn 1 and 2.
That's Tanner Berryhill. His car is slowed to a stop between 1 and 2. Can't tell if he's lost the power because he's moving around a lot in there, flipping switches, and almost looks like he is taking down the window net.
Yeah, so he's got something terminal.
Maybe he had wall contact. He was 35th, already 4 laps down, so not a great night for him, but it just got a little bit worse. Glad to see Tanner is okay. Frustrated, I'm sure.
Finish my thought with Chase Elliott. Great drivers are more tolerant than their competitors. And what I mean by that is, did you hear how he described, I'm loose in, I'm loose off, and I'm a little tight in the middle. So he says at the end, give me more grip in the front. Now, drivers typically want everything. Fix me in, fix my middle, and I want to be a little tighter off. You can't do that.
You got to pick one, right?
You got
What's
to pick
the most
one.
important thing?
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what separates him from so many. He's ahead of his years. And I told him, and you've heard me say this, what he did at Darlington was the most impressive thing I've seen in 10 years.
Yep, he did. He drove around him at Darlington. You're not supposed to be able to do that. Okay, we think Tanner Berryhill had a little contact with the wall to bring out this caution. Pits are still closed right now, so the leaders and their crews determining whether or not they're going to take this opportunity at lap 51 right now to come down pit road.
They're going to come, Dave.
Elliott Sadler may not have to. He pitted on the first caution, of course, so we'll see if he picks up a little track position himself, running in the 7th position.
Yeah, leaders are at the point where they need to get a good look at the tires, particularly the right front, make sure they don't have a camber issue or pushing the issue with the tire wear. And
let me ask you this, Ricky. The track is still about half shade, half sun. Do they have a good idea of where the track is going yet in terms of what it'll do to their setup?
It's another one of those responsibilities that, it's sort of an intangible that the crew chief has to deal with. And the experienced drivers look ahead. And they're very careful not to over-adjust early. That's going to be the key. That final adjustment, you don't want to spend a lot of time on pit road. So you need to anticipate where you are right now and where the track is right now.
Pit road is open. It looks like the leaders are going to take full advantage of this opportunity. Vince Welch is first.
Well, the 2-car of Brian Scott is going to come, and the car's a little bit too tight in the center. He said just maybe an air pressure adjustment, so that's what they're going to do. It's going to be an air pressure adjustment in the right rear for Brian Scott and 4 tires. Now, the 9-car of Chase Elliott, it started to free up in the center. Remember, we had that radio said it was a little too snug in the center. He said it's freed up, so they're going to make just an air pressure adjustment with 4 tires to help him on entry. Rick?
Brad Keselowski called the car just a little insecure on and off the turn, but also said that he felt it was going to come through him through the course of the night. Meanwhile, Trevor Bayne wants some help. He said his problems with the car on the entry, they're going to make a number of changes. A wedge adjustment, a front tire pressure adjustment. They feel they can bring him the car that he can use to win this race, but he knew he was going to need some work on it before it was all over.
Looks like a little strategy play there from the 43 car. Brad Keselowski leads this group off of pit road. So Keselowski, the leader going in, gives it up by 1 spot to Dakota Armstrong. We'll come back to Iowa. Is there any bigger rivalry than Yankees-Red Sox in baseball? I don't think so. At least the Yankees and Red Sox fans don't think so. Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. It's the Yankees versus the Red Sox at 8 on ESPN. You can also watch it live on Watch ESPN. Back here at the Iowa Speedway, 5 drivers who had pitted earlier stayed out under this caution, but there was a lot of discussion in the 11 camp.
Well, this is obviously what we didn't need with a quick caution here. I can't put tires on it here, but we're really close to a fuel window. I think we got to at least put fuel in it and make an adjustment.
Man, I'm so loose in now. Are you sure, man?
We can stay. I can go to about lap 124.
I think we need to stay up in track position. We on old tires. You don't want to be the last car on old tires. I think that's you're going to be in big trouble.
Well, indeed, they decided to stay out. And Ricky Craven, maybe you can elaborate Elliott Sadler's concern on being the last car with old tires. Obviously, he's running first.
Yeah, it's a hard way to live, Jim. And it, they're just pitting out of sequence puts you in that situation where you're darned if you do and darned if you don't. He's got his work cut out for him now.
He'll have to deal with it. Green flag is back out at the Iowa Speedway.
Clear. Clear by 2 right to back.
Saw one car way up the racetrack, that being the 93, and he's got it collected again.
Yeah, this is the challenge for Chase Elliott. You see Chase right here splitting the middle, coming back up through traffic. That's the risk with a poor pit stop. He got blocked in on the last pit stop, lost several spots.
So not only does Swindell in 93 go backwards, Dakota Armstrong took only 2 tires. He is going back now as well. Kenny Wallace in the 29 struggling a little bit. And just to note, Chase Elliott came down pit road in 3rd position, but he got blocked in the pits, and he restarted 14th in that 9 car on the inside.
Yeah, he's fixing it, though. I'll take care of this.
The free pass went to Jamie Dick in the 55, by the way. But out front, Elliott Sadler. Let's see how Elliott can do now. Wow! Ty Dillon having to collect it there as Dakota Armstrong caught it. Maybe it's because it was 3 wide with Regan Smith.
Oh, that'll help. Yeah. Somebody's got to make a decision to lift. And Dakota did.
Regan powered through to 10th. Here's Sam Hornish. He restarted 9th, and he's going for the lead.
15 laps ago, we talked about the leaders hadn't made a pit stop, so the drivers didn't get an opportunity yet to make that adjustment. You can always evaluate the contenders after the first pit stop. Not until, because that is the most critical aspect of the car. Like, are we going to be able to fix this? It appears as though the 54 is back in the game.
And any fears the 11 team had about older tires, well, they're coming true. At least for a few front runners here. As Keselowski now moves through for 2nd place, dumping Sadler back to 3rd. He was the leader at the restart.
And he just needs to work hard to sustain. The 3 cars working hard also.
Yep, Ty Dillon right now holding down the 10th position. Chris Buescher in the 60, battling with him. That's the 31 of Chase Pistone.
Keep your eye on the 60 of Chris Buescher. I think he's done a great job and made progress all year, and he's in the highest position points-wise that he's been all year.
But we liked how he looked in practice, and I know you can't always tell by just what a car looks like or just from the timesheets, but I mean, everything about what Chris did in the 2 practice sessions we watched yesterday was positive.
Yeah, you want young drivers to be fast, but you also want them to be responsible. This young man doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
3rd place now to Trevor Bayne. Sadler, 1 more spot back. Now, how do Elliott Sadler and crew chief Chris Gale make this work out?
Well, here's another challenge. Okay, so not only do they need to worry about losing track position, but this car is driving pretty poorly. You got to be careful that you don't over-adjust because you're on older tires. You cannot compare yourself right now to the guys on new tires. There's more responsibility right now for Elliott Sadler than it is crew chief.
Here's a couple of cars on new tires. What did we talk about? 22.54. The May winner, Hornish. He's got the lead. Keselowski chasing him down.